Got any doubts? Throw them out the window. Pay the invoice. And I think what we really appreciated about Sagan was that it wasn't just, hey, we're a headhunter, we're going to help you recruit. There is also like community component to it. And most of the people in Sagan are looking to build a very efficient business that is hiring globally and is trying to automate and build good systems and gradually push things down the delegation ladder.
All right, here with Mr. Dave Williams, and co-founder of GoRascal. Dave, good place to start. Just to introduce GoRascal, like where you're based, your scale, your business model, that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're GoRascal. We're a residential mortgage brokerage. We're based in Brooklyn, but we're scattered around the US. We're licensed in about 35 states right now. Operationally, we have 30 or 40 folks, but then we have about 250 loan officers that our operations team is supporting that are around the country, bringing in business and we fulfill their loans and help them get closed.
Now, you've shared this publicly, and we had a laugh about it, but because it doesn't exactly matter. But what kind of revenue do you do as an organization? Again, it's a vanity metric, but this is all public because of like loan record keeping and stuff. So it's not like some big secret.
It's not exactly public, but our loan volume is public. We're doing about 300 mortgages a month. So about 150 million in volume a month. So we'll do a bit north of $1 billion in loan volume. We expect that to keep on growing, and we're a sizable business.
So what was the biggest challenge that caused you to become a Passport member?
Yeah, so I have a fair amount of experience with hiring around the world, even from my like past company. Like I had 100 or so people on Upwork with kind of like a team that was like a guy who was managing it for me over there in the Philippines. I had a lot of exposure to it. And then when we started GoRascal, there's just operational needs, administrative stuff, and specialization that we wanted to take advantage of. We have used some other agency, like where you go, and I'm not going to name names, but where you pay a flat fee and you're not exactly sure what's going to the contractor. I think one of our issues there was just like, we weren't quite sure what we were paying for. Good talent, honestly, some of them really good talent, but we weren't quite sure what we were paying for. And I think we definitely wanted a bit more of an unlimited model. And because of the fact that we're like more of an educated buyer in this space, because we've done it before, we know what we're looking for generally. And I think what we really appreciated about Sagan was that it wasn't just, hey, we're a headhunter, we're going to help you recruit. There is also like a community component to it and like a learning component to it where it's like, all right, it's not just here's somebody to push payroll for you. It's here's how you can train that person. Here's how you can build standard operating procedures. Here's how you can continue to delegate and raise them up and make them what I would consider to be very kind of productive members of the team.
So you've been a member for about 4 months, roughly. How many hires? You probably don't even know the exact number. Neither do I. I know we have a couple different categories of hiring. So depending on how you count, but just talk through roughly some of the people and then what countries and any like comments on the quality or lack of quality.
Yeah, for sure. So we have, let's see, I've got a pen and paper in front of me. We've used the candidate pool. We've used the Sagan approved freelancers, and we've also we've written up job descriptions and done like kind of the custom search. So we hired like a sales development rep from Colombia through the candidate pool. He's been awesome. Is very well spoken, amazing English. Like he had a bit of a real estate background, so he knew the industry a bit. Yeah, he was from the candidate pool. I hired an EA from the candidate pool as well. She's been awesome. Like she's been
It's
a
Cha, right?
therapy. Cha, yeah. She's been amazing. Just like I'm a tinkerer by nature. I love playing with new tools and go work on this. And she's the same way. So we've been really aligned there. We hired through the freelance pool. We used a guy, Juan, who helped on some CRM configuration. He's in Argentina. We still work very consistently with Ceci, who does like a lot of social media stuff for her. Like I think she works 40 hours a week for us. So you might need to take her out of your candidate pool or out of your freelancing. We just gave an offer today, actually, for more kind of like an administrative role.
You got Pauline.
Pauline was from the candidate pool. She helps onboard our loan officers, which is a big task. We're onboarding like 10 or 15 a month, and they've got all sorts of questions, as anybody does when they're switching to a new role. So she's been,
Where's she from?
She's from Kenya. She's been awesome.
Is that it? It's great. You guys hired so much, we lost track. There might be
the
others. And then I know you've also gone, I think also members of your team I've seen, I like a lot of any like particular workshops or stuff that we've done that have stuck with you?
Oh, there was one that your CFO, Renee, ran that was about it was just like all things like global talent finance, which I thought was helpful. A lot of it was just like reaffirming for me in terms of how I pay my people and set them up with contracts and stuff. But I think that if you're a total beginner, like Renee is also super active in the school community. That was really good. There was a cold calling one that I thought was great. I think it generally talked a lot about how to think about setting up a call center, what to expect with hiring globally for calling. There was
I saw
something that
you
really yeah, go ahead.
you've also taken advantage. We do live stuff, but then we also do written, but we have a forum. I saw
Yeah.
you asked something about setting up telecommunications and I saw 14 responses. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I was having a day where, like, we use dial pad for our internet-based phone service, and I was just having a day where it was pissing me off, and I was like and so, I went to school, I'm like, "Who's got something better?" And people were like, "We really like dial pad," and I'm like, "Alright, I guess I'll stick with dial pad." But no, it was great because it's people have opinions, and it's a lot of I think the community is more than just, like, a bunch of like strategy tinker people from like tech companies. It's like people are like really out here like nothing against
Building.
that individual, but like people out here building and running into these problems that sometimes you're like, is this a stupid question? Like, how does it? But like, no, a lot of people have these questions, and so it's not just purely about like global talent, but I think that most of the people in Sagan are looking to build a very efficient business that is hiring globally and is trying to automate and just build good systems and gradually push things down the delegation ladder. I think it's just people are cut from the same cloth.
I think for me, a lot of how I tend to use our groups and questions too is it's like sanity checks. Hey, I'm thinking about getting rid of Airtable and moving everything to, and I just will have other fellow practitioners like weigh in on, am I nuts to try to hire a back end developer to do this? Or, right. I feel like you use it a lot like that too, like sanity checking operational issues.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely a lot. And I've met a few people through the network that I like talk with on a like some folks that I who work in like automation and have their
Yeah.
own agencies that I could see myself having a relationship with for a while and working together and using some of their services and hopefully they want a loan one day.
So if you were to quantify the benefit, because you've paid $1,000 a month, I think, right? I think that's
Yeah.
basically what you guys have paid. What's been your ROI on that?
Yeah, I think you think about it, I don't know, I think I just routed off 5 or 6 hires and probably saving at least 1 to 2 grand a month. So let's round up to two and call it 2 times 6 is $12,000 a month. So that's a lot. I think also there's like a time component. It's not even it is about the cost, of course. Like you want to know what you're paying people and you want to pay them a fair wage, et cetera. But I think I think it's also time. It's like I think that Sagan has a great network. It just gradually the fact that there is a candidate pool, that there are freelancers, there are presumably people who are referring other people, and that there's just if I go and hire an EA and every candidate Sagan puts in front of me is solid and hireable, I pick one of them though. Those other two or three or whatever are going to help out another person, and they're going to get picked up too. And so I think it's just like the speed has been much better than what I've experienced from some other companies that I've worked with, even those where you're paying quite a bit in like kind of in a headhunting fee.
I think that the other thing for me is I think the model is designed for people who are smart. Meaning, if I can save this much time for this amount of money, even if I know exactly what Sagan's doing in terms of how they're sourcing and all that stuff, this price point doesn't upset me. Whereas if there's transparency about how we make our money and all that stuff in some of these other models, it upsets me with the
Yeah.
way like, it bothers me. Whereas hey, it's $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Oh, to get that off my plate, eh, done. I
Yeah.
feel like you've definitely taken advantage of that, like time savings.
Yeah. And I think also the other way to think about it is you make one hire that might have cost you 3 grand at a managed service provider.
Yeah.
You're for sure immediately saving, let's say you're immediately saving at least $1,000 a
Every
month.
month.
every
forever.
month. So you just the whole thing was paid off. The whole thing was paid off in one, at least a year. You maybe want to hire a year, it's worth it, in my opinion. And then I think like you hire a headhunter to do it for you. You pay the flat fee up front. That's fine. Sometimes it's maybe a few $1,000s and it might not seem like a big deal. But if you're really bought in to doing it long term, you're going to be a bit less resistant to using that recruiter the next time. You're like, oh man, another five.
When you
And
say
you're
five,
just
you
not
mean
gonna
$5,000, right?
$5,000. So then you're just you become then the hiring becomes you want to invest in your business less because you're like I got to pay the headhunter again. And I think with Sagan, it's more of like if you're gonna make a one-off hire, by all means, like whatever you want to do. But if you're like really gonna do the thing and hire global talent forever and see what else is outside of the US, like it makes a lot of sense to be on a subscription like this.
How do you see kind of the business growing alongside Sagan? Like, how is this layering into your guys' planning? Often, when I see the relationship between you and your co-founder, you're the one who keeps the promises. And
Yeah.
so as the person who thinks about that, does planning, how are you thinking about Sagan being a part of that? Because you guys are obviously running at a very quick pace right now.
Yeah, no, I think Sagan will be critical. I think it's become a big part of our strategy. I think that for each role that we hire onshore, there's at least a global talent hire associated with that person. That might not mean they're like exactly like their personal assistant or something like that, but there are other responsibilities that pop up to take things off of their plate. And then in time, you have enough of those assistant types in various roles. They need people to manage them. And so the person that you hire at the beginning who really just knows what's going on can help manage them. And then they become layers and layers. And I think that we are at the scale now where like hiring in the US is, and that was, we've always had people in the US. We have the capital now to go make more hires in the US if we want to, and we will. But there are big parts of the business where like I had no desire to because it's like because initially hiring globally has required me to just write stuff down and make it so that I can give it to just about anybody. So obviously in our industry we have to be very sensitive to compliance. That's a big focus of ours, but it's worth investing in making sure that we can make it work so that we can kind of need to grow around the world.
Final thoughts? Anything else that we should add?
Got any doubts? Throw them out the window. Pay the invoice.
That's a good pay the invoice. That's a good thing.
Pay the invoice.